Dear students and participants of the course on railway engineering, today we are going to start with the next module. This module is related with the control systems. In this module, we will be discussing about the various types of signals which are installed on the tracks. What are the interlocking provisions which are made so that the route can be set, and then what are the various train control systems which are used on Indian railways so that the efficient and the safe movement of the trains can be ensured. In this particular direction, we will be starting with the signals. In the previous lecture, we completed the previous module, and in that module towards the end we were discussing about the track junctions. In last lecture, we talked about the diamond junction, the slips, the Caesar crossings, gauntlet tracks, triangles, double junctions, and then lastly the fan shaped layouts, which are the new developments in the area of track laying for high speed conditions. In today's discussion, as I said, we will be starting with the signals. So, we will be discussing about the objectives, the why the signals are required to be provided on the tracks, and then we will look at the broad classification of those signals which are provided, and then after this we will start discussing the various types of signals, and today we may be able to take up the audible signals, the visual signals which may be hand operated, or the fixed semaphore stop signals, or the distant and the corner signals. So, what is signaling? Signaling means these are the signals are the equipment which are used to control and regulate the movement of trains on the tracks. What does it mean is that you have a big route being set, there can be stations on en route, and then in between the stations also the sections are being divided. So, there are sections which are related with the station and there are sections which are non-station sections. So, this can be a station section, whereas these they can be termed as block sections. Now, the train is going to move in any of the directions along the tracks. Now, at what particular point, in which particular section, which train is moving, and accordingly what should be the distance of the other trains, so that the safety can be ensured, there is no hitting of the two trains, there is no delay because of the one train going late or has faced some issue. So, how the other train can be just bypassing the previous train, all of those things needs to be taken care of, and that is where the total control and regulation of the movement has to be taken up. Now, these are also ensure the safety and efficiency of the network, because as I said, if the two trains comes in the same block, then it is going to be a hazardous situation. So, there needs to be a certain gap between the trains which are moving in one direction. So, we need to ensure the safety as well as the efficiency of the system, because if that is not being taken care of, that how the train has to move in which particular block, either this or this, or how it reaches a station and then it starts back from there to reach the final destination or the terminal location. So, that efficiency in terms of operation is to be looked at, and obviously this operational efficiency will transform into the travel time reliability. And another thing is that the track which is being provided, it should be utilized to the maximum. It should not happen that it is lying idle for a long period of time and then there is a queuing of the trains. So, there is a time difference, there is a space difference between the movement of the trains. The signaling can be defined as a medium of communication between the control center or station master and the loco pilot of the train, so that the loco pilot gets the required information for the safe running of the train between stations. The loco pilot means the person who is driving the locomotive. So, the name is been given as locopilot. Now, this locopilot is relying on the information which is being provided on the track, and that information is provided on the track by way of the provision of the signals at different locations. So, these signals will give certain information to the locopilot, and on the basis of that the locopilot may be moving with the maximum permissible speed on the track or with the restricted speed on the track, or there may be a requirement that the train has to be brought to the stop dead condition. So, there is a requirement of providing a communication, and that communication is coming from the control center. In some of the cases it can also come from the station master, who will be controlling certain individual points and switches or the control systems which are lying within his power. So, on the basis of this understanding, then we can list out the objectives here. The objectives are, first of all, regulate the movement of the trains on the tracks, then ensure the safety of the trains which are moving on the same track in the same direction. So, the train, different tracks are there. So, one train is moving here and then another train is also moving in this. So, the trains are moving in the same direction. So, they should not collide. To ensure the safety of trains which are moving on the tracks with maximum permissible speeds. So, when it is maximum permissible speed and suppose there is a repair which is going on the track, then the train cannot be allowed to move at the maximum permissible speed. So, now we have to ensure two things: the safety at both of the points. So, when it is moving with the maximum permissible speed, at that time what type of system connectivity has to be provided in terms of the track, that needs to be ensured. Ensure the safety of trains which are moving on crossing tracks or which are approaching towards each other. Now, ideally you can say that the train should not approach towards each other, but there may be a possibility that because of some reason now we have discussed about it and it has been converted into a single track, and then again it can be a double track. So, in this section the trains can move in either of the direction. Now, it should not happen that if the train is coming from this direction, then a train starts coming from the other direction. So, that will going to create a hazardous situation. So, that needs to be controlled. Similarly, when you are talking about a crossing track, so there is a track crossing like this and a train is approaching the crossing from this direction. So, now the train which is coming on the another track needs to be probably stopped, so that first of all this train crosses, then only the other train may be allowed to move on the track in the forward direction. And to maximize the utilization of the track, that already we talked about it. So, these are the points. Along with that, there are few other type of operations which can be there, say shunting. The shunting operations will be done in the station yards. So, the train has come and now it is going to stay there because it is a terminal station. So, train will remain there for a certain period of time before it is going to be put back into the use. So, the shunting operation will be required. So, the train will be taken from the main line to some other line. So, this shunting will be done and finally, it will go to some distance away from the station. So, if the station has been here, the platform has been here, it will go back to some other location where it goes and stop, or it can be taken to the yard for maintenance, for cleaning, for sorting, any other type of such issues. To manage the train movements during the maintenance and repairs of the tracks. Okay. So, this is also another important thing. So, if the maintenance and repair is going on, that means we have to ensure what? The restricted speed. We have discussed about these, what are the speed schedules, under what conditions, what type of restrictions needs to be imposed. So, you can refer back our lectures which we have already covered. To regulate the arrival and departure of the trains and stations or in or from the station yards. So, the train is going to approach here. So, it is coming from this direction. Now, if there is already a train standing here, then this has to be stopped at some distance away. Or if there are number of such tracks which are available, which are originating from this track, and say there is another platform available, and if this is not being occupied, then this train needs to be moved on the another track. So, that type of arrival or reception and similarly the departure of the train needs to be taken care of to ensure the safety of the movement at the level crossings. Because we discussed that there is a road and then there is a track which is coming from the 90-degree angle. We have discussed that we should ensure as far as possible the angle between these two is 90 degrees. So, this is a road. So, at this point if the train is coming, at the same time if you allow the vehicles to move on this section, that is the level crossing, then this will translate into a hazardous location. So, we need to make a control of that. As soon as it is being set, the train is going to be on this track, then the gate has to be closed. So, that is another issue. Now, let us look at the broad classification of the signals. It can be done on the basis of different type of characteristics. Say the very first one is the operating characteristic. In the case of operating characteristics, it depends on how the message is being communicated. So, there is going to be some visual form in which the message is going to be communicated. So, operational characteristics means now you can talk about maybe in terms of a flag, in terms of hand, in terms of the signals which have been provided. We can bring in many such things here. In the case of the functional characteristics means that what type of message we want to give or communicate to the loco pilot. Say we want to tell that you have to stop the train or you have to proceed, but with caution, or now the shunting operation is to be started. So, any issue or any type of system or any type of operational condition which is going to be there on the track, that is to be communicated and that is related with some function. That is why the classification is functional classification. Then locational characteristics where the signals have been provided. Say we talked about two things, the reception of the trains and the departure of the trains. So, if you have a platform and there is a track being provided here. So, there are going to be signals at this point. So, these signals they will tell whether the train which is coming from this direction is allowed to come on the platform or not. Similarly, when the train has arrived and is on the platform, then again there will be signals in front which will tell that whether it is allowed to move back, or so it will be taking from this station and going in the forward direction on its journey, or in that case also another thing can also happen, that whether it has to take on the same track or it is going to change the track. So, there may be a possibility that the track needs to be changed. From the constructional characteristics, we have the signals where the certain arm is projected outside the post, or there can be the colored light which can be used. On the basis of that, they are defined as semaphore signals or the colored light signals. There can be some special type of signals, say calling on signal, repeater signal, coaching signal. So, there are a number of such type of signals are there which can also be discussed. So, this is a chart which tries to give you a bigger picture of how the signals are being classified. Say it starts with the visual versus audible. Now, in the case audible, the different things which are there are that you need going to use the detonators which are placed on the rail head, and when the train moves at the top of it, it will blast and it will alert the loco pilot that they need to look for the signal, they need to control the speeds. It can be in the form of voice if a voice communication system is being established between the loco pilot and the control center or the station master, then that is another way, and then another thing can be the use of a whistle. When you talk about the visual, then they can be defined as movable flag signals, fixed signals, or flare signals. The flare signals, like you have something which is being flared, so the light will come out of it, and then you can just show that light, maybe a green light or a red light type of a flare is there, and that will give an indication to the loco pilot that what needs to be done. Now, in the case of fixed signals, they can be defined as the running signals and the subsidiary signals. Running signals means they are being used on the major track and the road all along, and subsidiary signals means they are the signals which are supporting the associated movements of the trains on the tracks. Say we talked about shunting, so that will go into that part. So, in the case of subsidiary, they can be miniature arms, disc type, position light type, or CLS type, that is the colored light signal type category can be there. When you talk about the running signals, they can be two aspect signals or a multi aspect signals. And then within these two aspect or multi aspect signals, they can be of any of the type as far as the construction is concerned. It can be the semaphore signal, which is a physical signal with a hand which goes up and down to tell the loco pilot whether to stop or be cautious or move with a permissible speed, or the another can be a CLS signal, that is the color light signal. So, these are usually being used nowadays. Now, what are the types of signals which are required at different categories of stations? Some idea has been given here. So, in the case of a class A station, Warner signals, home signals, starter signals can be there. Outer signal can be provided, but for that there may be a requirement taking some permission. Then in the case of class B stations, there are outer and home signals. And if you are working with the multi-aspect upper quadrant signal system, which is in short defined as multi-aspect upper quadrant MAUQ signal system. So, distant home and outer signals they are provided. In the case of class C, the Warner and home signals are there, and if we are using this MAUQ type of signals, multi-aspect upper quadrant signals, then in that case the Warner is being replaced by a distant signal. So, let us start discussing about the signals. So, very first one which we are looking here is an audible signal. Here you can see that certain things are being shown. There is a box in which the detonators have been kept, and then these detonators they are placed on the railhead. As you can see here, they are being placed there with the clip, and then if the train passes on the top of it, as soon as the wheel will come at the top here, they will detonate. So, these detonators are used to warn the loco pilot. They are used generally during the low visibility conditions. Say a fog is there, there is a problem for the loco pilot to see the signal, even though the signals and the beams which come out of those signals, that is of such intensity that it can penetrate, but if it is a very dense fog, then there is going to be a big problem. So, in those cases, just to alert the driver that you are approaching a signal, these detonators are placed on the rails. These are fixed to the rails and detonates as soon as the train wheel passes over it. They are placed at least 270 meters before the signal, 2 in numbers at an interval of 10 meters. So, it means there are going to be 2 such blasts. So, even if the loco pilot could not understand the first blast, there will be the second blast within no time, and that will alert the loco pilot further. Then in the case of visual signals, they can be hand operated or they can be fixed installations. Let us look at the hand operated systems. You can see different type of postures being shown on this slide. Here the person is showing a red flag, this fellow is taking the hands up. Here he is showing the green flag, then this person is taking only one hand up, the another one is down. So, they have their different meanings. So, in the first case, this combination, either using a flag which is red or taking both of the hands up, it means you need to stop. Whereas, in the second case, when it is showing a green flag or they are showing one hand up only, that means you can proceed. This can also be done by using the lanterns or the lamps. So, here you can see the lamp is being used. So, this is showing a red light. So, that means you need to stop, where here it is showing the green light. Then here what you can found is that the flag is there, but that flag is not just not being shown like this, it has been made moving in this form, or there can be a hand movement also. So, it says that now that train or the loco pilot can bring the train towards the person who is signaling the some information. Whereas, if both of the things have been used together, that means the red flag as well as the green flag, they have been taken up, means you come but slowly, so that the coupling of the vehicles can be done. Here also, not just keeping the hands up, we are putting the hands in both the directions, that means come slowly and slowly and then stop. Similarly, here also what we are doing is we are using a lamp with a green light and we are showing it in this form, and when this is the way it is being rotated, it gives an indication to the loco pilot. These red or green flags, they are fixed on the wooden handles. So, and the bare arms can be used in daytime. During the night time, hand lamps with green and red slides can be used. So, these are the hand lamps which we have talked here. Now, these fixed signals, if we talk, now these fixed signals, by the name itself, it tells that they have been fixed at some post. So, if this is a post, so at this post somewhere the lights are being provided. So, they are fixed on the ground by the side of the track. They can be running signals like a stop signal or permissive signals. We already talked about it, and there can be another category which is a subsidiary signal like calling on signals, position, light shunt signals, etc. Now, these stop signals which are there, they can also be a multi-aspect signal, and in that case they can have different names depending on where they are provided, what are the functional values on the basis of the location where they are provided. Say they are named as home, starter, advanced starter or gate signal. And now, in the case of two aspect signal, which in short can be TAS, they can be outer, starter, advanced starter and gate signals in this case. So, it means there are certain signals which can work either with a two aspect condition as well as with a multi aspect condition, and they can be provided with a semaphore type of a system, or they can be provided with the light type of a system. Then permissive signals in the multi-aspect condition, they are known as distinct signals or inner distinct signals, but in the case of a two aspect one, they are known as the Warner signals. So, let us talk first of all about the semaphore stop signal. Now, in the right hand side, a semaphore stop signal has been shown where there is a post. So, this is a signal post, and on this signal post at the top, you found that there is an arm being shown which is projecting outwards. There is a lamp at the back. There are red and green glasses. So, depending on the way it moves up or down, the lamp will come at the back of a particular glass and it will show whether it is a red or green, whether the train has to stop or it can continue. Now, when it is being operated, it is being connected to a cabin from where this signal is going to be operated, and that is where this cam and counterweight lever system is provided, which is connected with the down rod to the arm, and then with the help of the chain and the pulley, this goes to the cabin from where it is going to be operated. So, sometimes you must have seen that there are certain levers which are being provided at the side of the track. So, it means they can be set from that lever, that is a manual way in which it can be done at that particular location. So, when those levers are made either forward or backward, which is an interlocking system, then that will operate the connected signals to give an information to the loco pilot what needs to be done. So, if we look at the various parts of it, it has a movable arm, It has a spectacle holding two color glasses, lamp for the night indication, crank rod, cam, lever, counterweight so that it can move up and down, the signal post, the chain and pulley, and the wire to the cabin. Now, this semaphore signal, the side towards the pilot, that means if I am coming from this direction and the semaphore signal post is provided here and it has an arm which is projecting towards this direction. So, the one now this arm, this as means if this is visible to the loco pilot, if you are coming from this side. So, that is painted red with the vertical white strip, whereas on the other side it is painted white with the black vertical strip. So, it now defines whether the loco pilot has to comply with that particular signal or not. So, if it is showing the red side, then only it means the meaning of that signal needs to be taken care of by that loco pilot. It is provided with the lamp for viewing signal at the night. The spectacle at the front of the lamp contains red and green colors. We already talked about it. The horizontal portion of the arm indicates red light. So this is a normal condition, and inclined position of the arm indicates green light. So, if it is provided with this sort of horizontal condition, it means it is showing the red, but the other way is that it can be inclined like this, and if it is inclined like this, then the spectacle will go up and the green light will come in front of the lamp, and that will tell that you can proceed. So, you can see here, so there is a aspect which is showing that you need to stop because it is horizontal, at the same time it is showing the red light here. And this aspect of horizontal, this is defined as on. Okay, so on means you have to stop, and here it is mostly horizontal, but it can be within 0 to 5 degrees. So, the indication is that if it is being done in this form, the train has to be brought to stop dead condition. It has to be completely stopped before it. The other one is where it is going down, and in this case the green light is coming, says that you can proceed, and the angle at which it is being brought down, this is 45 degrees to 60 degrees. So, there are two things which we talk whenever these type of signaling is being done. One is defined as aspect, another is indication. So, here this aspect is off. The name for this movement is off, and it says that you can proceed. So, this is a case when we are talking about a two aspect lower quadrant signaling, because if you convert into a quadrant, so this is a quadrant in which it is working. So, this is a lower quadrant, and only two aspects are there, either it can be horizontal or it can take a inclined position. There is a three aspect upper quadrant signaling. Now, in this case, when you are talking about a third aspect for this phase of two aspect condition, what will happen, that this has to be brought down and it will be vertically here along with the post. Now, there is a possibility that there are other signals are also being placed on this particular post, and then as soon as this arm comes there, it will create a hindrance in terms of the further additional information which is being provided to the loco pilot. So, considering that, and as well as this will come along the post, so the visibility and understanding will also hamper. Here in this case there cannot be a third aspect. So as to take care of that, the upper quadrant system has been thought of, wherein again in the horizontal condition, which is 0 to 5 degrees, the aspect is stop, and indication is that you have to stop dead. But if it is at 40 to 45 degrees, then it says caution. Now, this one additional thing which has come between stop and proceed, and what it says is that proceed, but be prepared to stop at the next stop signal. So, you are being allowed to move, but not with the maximum permissible speed. And if it is straight upwards, it will be showing green. So, it is 85 to 90 degrees, which says you can proceed with the maximum permissible speed. There is no issue. So, What we discussed in the previous slide is some of the things have been written here. It says in the case of a 2 aspect lower quadrant signal, there is no possibility of having the third aspect, as in that case it will be 90° downwards and may not be visible to the loco pilot. So, because of that, the multi aspect upper quadrant signaling system was developed, wherein the third aspect comes as a 90° upwards, which defines that the movement is allowed on the track and the inclined one is showing the caution. So, there is a upper quadrant signal indicators and which is also defined as a stop signal in general, because in own condition it is showing the horizontal arm, means the train has to be stopped. So, you can see here in the daytime the arm will be horizontal, in the night time the one red light will be visible to the loco pilot, that is defined as on position, but the meaning is that you have to stop that. Other case is that in the daytime, if it is inclined at 45° above the horizontal, or in the night time there is a one yellow light is being shown, then that defines a caution, it means you proceed, but with the restricted speed and be prepared to stop at the next signal. And the third condition is that in the day it is vertical and in the night one green light is being shown, then that means it is clear, it is an off position of the arm and it indicates that you can proceed with the full speed. Now, in the case of a Warner signal, what are the changes? Let us look at that. So, in the day it is horizontal, in the night it is one yellow light. So, it says it is a caution. Now, the name is Warner, it is trying to caution the loco pilot. So, previous one we talked about horizontal means one red light. So, it was for the stop signal, normal stop signal. In the case of Warner, that is a change here. So, it says caution, and when it is caution, what it says, proceed at a caution speed and be prepared to stop at the next signal. The other case is now one more thing is coming in picture, that is attention. So, you can say that there are basically 4 aspects now. What are the 4 aspects? The first one is that you have to stop, then caution, attention and proceed. So, this is becoming into a 4 aspect condition also. So, in the daytime when it is inclined at 45°, but in the night time 2 yellow lights are being shown. Previously only one yellow light we were talking, and here in the caution one yellow light has been talked. So, means attention, attention means what? Proceed and prepared to pass the next stop signal at a restricted speed. So, you are still being allowed to move, we are not saying that you are going to be stopped next. And the third one, that is between day and night, if it is vertical or a one green light is there, it means it is proceed at full speed. So, the normal condition is the horizontal position, which is red on stop, and the 90° and above horizontal, that means green, and that is off position means proceed, we already talked. So, this is a normal situation of the semaphore stop signal. So, this one needs to be understood. Signals are designed to fall safe. What does that mean is, if there is any system failure, then it will come back to the on position, that means the stop condition. So, that is inbuilt. These are provided as outer signals, home signals, starter signals, advanced starter signals and Warner signals. So, few variants are being shown here. Now, what is the variance here is, there is a ring being shown on the white vertical band. Here D is being written, here X is being shown. What does this mean? In the case of this ring, it is talking about the approach to the goods yard, whereas if it is a D being shown, then it means we are controlling the approach to the docks. X means now this is decommissioned, it is no far in use. Okay, so this ring it's being shown here again, that's a goods signal. Then there is L being shown here, that means it is a loco signal. This is for locomotives only, and if it is a complete white with a red band in between. So, if this is a red band here and total is complete white, then this is defined as calling on signal. And again there is an automatic signal where this V notch is being shown and this whole area is red with the white color V being provided. So, this is automatic signal. So, everything electronically being controlled. Now, let us talk about the permissive signals. These permissive signals are distant or Warner signals. They are used for the fast and the safe movement of the trains, and for that the warning needs to be given to the locomotive regarding what is the conditions which are there on the section in which the train is going to move, and that information should be available before a condition arises where the vehicle or the train has to be stopped or it is approaching a stop signal. Now, this is used ahead of the stop signal and is permissive in nature, means some sort of a permission which is to be given even in the most restrictive condition. In on condition of a stop signal, the train is to be stopped, but when in the case of permissible signal, the train can pass even when it is in the on position. So, the permission has been given, but some restrictions are there. The movable arm of the permissible or the warning signal has a fish tail or a V notch. Okay, so, you will find that at the end this sort of a condition may be there. So, this is the end, here it is being connected with the post, and this V shaped band is painted in the white color. So, this is white in color. Rest of the arm is painted in red color. In the case of a distant signal, it is painted in yellow color with a black band. So, there is a difference. If you are talking about Warner, then Warner is a combination of red and white, but if you are talking about a distant signal, then it is basically yellow with black. So, that is a difference which will come. It can be placed separately or in combination of the stop semaphore signal. That means on the same signal there can be two arms or there can be two different signals on which one arm is being provided. So, here you can see some of the combinations being shown. That is a combination where a semaphore signal is provided along with the Warner signal. Now, if both are horizontal, it says stop. When the semaphore is down, but the Warner is horizontal, it says that there is a caution. If both are down at certain angle, that means you proceed. There can be a single, as I said, independent post can also be there. So, in that independent post also it can be used, but then in that case, as we said, if it is an on condition horizontal arm, still it allows the train to move with certain restrictions. And these are usually placed at a distance 1.7 meters to 2.1 meters below the semaphore stop signal. So, that distance is what we are talking. Now, with colored light on the same post, the Warner signal is placed 1.5 meters to 2 meters below the fixed green light. If you are talking about the light colored light signaling systems, mechanical arrangement shall be such that the Warner signal cannot be taken off while the stop signal above is in the on position. So, again that is a combination phases are there and those combination phases needs to be taken care of. So, here you can see the aspect 1 and 2. So, this is one aspect, this is 2 aspect. In aspect 1 it is in horizontal, it says proceed with caution. Indication is what? Proceed with caution and prepare to stop at the next signal. But in the other case 2, when it is inclined downwards, it says proceed as aspect as well as indication. Here Again, that is a combination where you can see that the two are horizontal. So, it means a stop and the stop dead condition. So, for a Warner case, here the semaphore is down, but the Warner is horizontal. We are finding that this is a Warner because a V notch is there at the end. So, it says proceed with caution or proceed with caution and be prepared to stop at the next stop signal, whereas both are down. So, they are proceed and proceed. Here the light system has been shown instead of the semaphore system. So, light color aspects are being talked. So, you can see the combinations again. This is the main stop signal and the Warner signal has been provided at the bottom of it at some distance. So, if both are showing red, so it says aspect is stop and stop dead, or if it is a case of a green in the stop and the red here, it says proceed with caution and ready to be stop at the next stop signal, and in case both are green, then it is proceed and proceed. Another case is here, that is basically for the permissive signals. Permissive signals, here we are talking the distant signal. So, it says move, but then with caution or otherwise it moves. So, the 2 and 3 will be followed here. So, a distant signal in terms of the physical arm are being shown in the upper quadrant or the lower quadrant conditions. So, in the case of upper quadrant, we have 1, 2 and 3 phases. These 3 aspects are going to be there: horizontal, inclined and vertical. When it is horizontal, it is caution indicating proceed, be prepared to stop at the next stop. When it is inclined, means attention, and in this attention, in this case only one yellow light was shown, but now here there is another arrangement wherein the 2 yellow lights are going to be shown to the locopilot, and it says proceed, be prepared to pass the next signal with the restricted speed, and the third case it is proceed condition totally. Now, in the 2 aspect condition, it is caution, proceed and be prepared to stop at the next stop signal, and when it is downwards, it is proceed and proceed. So, that is a 2 aspect condition. Now, the distance between the 2 yellow lights shall be 1.5 meters when the signal displays attention aspect at night. So, that is the height difference which is being provided, so that the locopilot can very easily visualize and understand that. The distant signal shall be located at an adequate distance in the rear of the stop signal. Where necessary, more than one distant signal may be provided. These are named as distant signals and inner distant signals, if that is a requirement. The same information has to be provided. So, a track is there. So, there is a stop signal here, but before that some value is to be told. But it is said that there are certain permissible distances which needs to be maintained between the distant signal and the stop signal, and if this is not being adequately maintained, then we try to keep moving backwards till that adequate distance is being complied. In that case, there will be the first distant signal and rest inner distant signals will be there. So, in case of the multiple distant signals, distant signal displays attention, double yellow, proceed, green aspect only, whereas inner distant signals, they display caution, attention or proceed. So, that is the difference between the 2 cases. So, you can see here, so that is a inner distant condition, that is yellow, double yellow and green. A white circular disc with P is marked in black and is fixed on the distant signals for identification. So, this is a disc which is being provided here. In such cases, the distant signal be located 2 kilometers ahead of the first stop signal. So, that is what, if this is a stop signal and this is a distinct signal. So, we are talking about 2 kilometers distance here, and eliminating the warning boards. So, here some aspects are being shown. So, aspect of distant signal or an inner distant signal and a home signal or a stop signal. So, indications are what? If all are green, it means you can run through. If the distant signal is double yellow, inner distant is double yellow and home signal is yellow with route indicator, it says stop at loop line starter and pass via the loop. And third one is the double yellow with a combination of inner of yellow and red, that it has to stop at the home signal. So, we are continuously giving the information with then the locopilot of reaching the station. This home signal is basically at the station side. So, that okay, you be cautious, stop control, and finally you are going to stop. So, what we have discussed was the signaling systems on Indian Railways, what are the objectives and what are the broad classifications of those signals. And then we discussed about some of the specific signals like audible signals or visual signals or fixed signals. And within fixed signals, our emphasis today was on semaphore stop signals and the permissive signals. Thank you. We will be meeting in the next lecture. Bye.